Welcome back to the breakdown. And with the breakdown, we take a look at interesting topics and different things to help you learn something new. One thing you can always do to become a better person is try to learn something new every day. And we hope with the breakdown we can help you do that. Today we're going to take a look at Coca-Cola, one of the most successful companies out there, especially in the food and beverage industry. But even they have had some huge failures and some products that just never quite made it. Or after a long period of time, the product faded out and didn't become as popular as it used to be. So we're going to look at their top 10 failed and discontinued drinks. Now, Coca-Cola has a wide range of products. We're going to focus on just 10 of them that I thought were the most interesting. Now, everybody fails. Coca-Cola has proven that. They can be the most successful company. They can, in their industry, they can do all kinds of great things, but they'll make mistakes. They'll stumble and they'll fall. They'll have products that just don't go anywhere. It's all about how you respond to it. So hopefully that helps you learn something new. And always, it's not about failing, but how you respond to failure that determines if you're going to be successful or not. I've really learned that, and I hope this list helps you learn that too. All right, before we get into the list though, do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up. It really does help us because it lets YouTube know you enjoy what we do here. Hopefully we can help you learn something new. All right. Number one on the list is actually Coca-Cola's most recently announced discontinued product, and it was a trailblazer back when it was announced in the 1960s, 1963 to be exact. Tab, the very first diet soda released by Coke, was a massive hit in the 1960s and 70s, eventually overshadowed by Diet Coke. And when Diet Coke came in the market, a flavor much closer to Coke, their main product, the attention moved from Tab to Coca-Cola, but Tab stuck around. Honestly, I kind of forgotten all about Tab. Haven't seen a lot of it in convenience stores and more, but you could still find it in select areas. That has resulted, though, in declining sales. And now in 2020, Coke has announced that the original Diet Cola from Coke is going away. Tab still has some diehard fans. Unfortunately for you, you're going to be out of luck. But Tab was a trailblazer by bringing artificial sweetener in to give you that sweet taste without the calories of sugar. So check that out. Tab, you still have a little bit of time to find it on shelves. No exact date I was able to find when it was going to be pulled from shelves, but it's on its way out. Enjoy it while you can. Maybe just as a nostalgic, hey, this was the original Diet Coke. All right, number two, Volt. Now, Coke is not immune from envy. Coke saw the success Pepsi was having with Mountain Dew and really wanted in on it. Now they've had a few different attempts at this, but Volt was one of them that was really in the early 2000s and 2010s even, an attempt to kind of jump in there, compete with Mountain Dew with a similar product, and it never quite got its feet underneath it. Released in 2005, Volt only made it to 2011 before it was fully pulled from store shelves. Mountain Dew, very popular, but it seems like no one else has quite found a copycat. Coke has Pepsi and even RC Cola and others out there that compete with it. Sprite has 7-Up, or 7-Up has Sprite, however you want to look at that, and Sierra Mist and others out there. But Mountain Dew has always kind of been in an island on its own, and none of the competitors have ever really come even remotely close to competing in numbers. And Volt has seemed to follow that trend where Mountain Dew just kind of left it in its dust and kept on moving, and Volt never catched up. This led Coke, with its declining sales of Volt, to pull the plug in 2011. At some point you have to say, hey, how much money is this costing us? Effort, market share. They said, never mind, Volt, you're just not worth it. All right, the next one up is a drink I remember very fondly. I actually kind of enjoyed this one, Coca-Cola C2. If you remember Coca-Cola C2, it was released in 2004. It was one of Coke's first attempts to have something different than Diet Coke and regular Coke. They wanted to be closer to regular Coke, but offer lower calories, lower carbonation, all that kind of stuff. And it did pretty well original release, but very quickly Coke Zero came on the market with an even closer taste to original Coke and completely replaced it. Now, I was kind of surprised to find out Coke C2 hung on for a while, much longer than I thought, even though most stores were only selling Coke Zero and then they were selling regular Coke and Diet Coke and more. But it wasn't until 2007, I should say, that it was completely pulled from store shelves, even though it was about a year later when Coke Zero came out. So very interesting to see that. Coke Zero, very similar product, a little closer to taste, did a little bit better in the market, just kind of pushed the C2 away. An altered version was released though in 2013 under the Coke Life brand that still continues to this day, though kind of hard to find. You can find it in a few areas here and there. In 2020 it became hard to find as Coke and other brands focused on more of the popular brands that with the shortage of cans and other products happening in the world. But Coke C2 in a new altered version, you could say, kind of continues in that brand version there. It was interesting. I remember when it came out, I kind of enjoyed it, but I will admit, when Coke Zero came out, I switched to Coke Zero and I enjoyed that better. Alright, Vivo, which I hope I say that right, V-I-O. Vivo? However you say that. I know I'm notorious for butchering names. This was a milk-flavored carbonated water. And if you are already disgusted, you are not alone. This one didn't go anywhere. But it was a milk-flavored carbonated water that came in a variety of different drinks like citrus, peach mango, very berry, and tropical drink there. In 2010, Time Magazine listed it as one of the worst ideas of the past year under the top 10 worst drink ideas, or beverage ideas, I should say, their list was called. Coke released it in a handful of markets to test it out, trying to get into the flavored water, the flavored milk market, which was very hot at that time in 2009. Didn't get very far, never left the test markets, never got a national release. Few people remember it fondly, but overall, this is one of those drinks that got left behind in the market of flavored drinks, flavored water, the healthier options of drinks that Coke and other soft drinks have been trying to get into over the last 10 years. Alright, the next one up is a brand that I absolutely loved growing up, and I miss to this day. Coke's Minutemade Orange Soda. Now, you probably noticed that it's been replaced by Fanta. There's a lot of talk that Minutemade Orange Soda and Fanta are basically the same thing with a new name. They are not. There's a different formula. Fanta actually existed alongside Minutemade Orange Soda from Coke. But the sales from 2000 until when Minutemade Orange Soda in 2005 was canceled continued to decline as Coke put their effort into Fanta. Want a Fanta? If you remember those commercials from the early 2000s, was very successful. Coke shifted their marketing, replacing Minutemade Orange Soda in a lot of stores and a lot of vending machines with Fanta, and that resulted eventually in Coke discontinuing the brand. No need to have two brands very similar to each other, but with different tastes. Also, though, this hasn't been confirmed. I've heard it reported repeatedly online and in different spots, but I couldn't actually find a Coke executive to say this, that Coke wanted to get away from a Minutemade Orange Soda name because they wanted the Minutemade brand to be more of a healthier brand with orange juice, lemonade, and other more drinks that have more of a healthy connotation to them than orange soda. Kind of hard to sell a brand as a healthy place like Minutemade Orange Juice right next to Minutemade Orange Soda. I still miss this one because this was one of my favorite drinks growing up, and I think I will always miss Minutemade Orange Soda. So far, unlike many other drinks who had a short-lived revival, Coke hasn't brought it back, and they never brought the formula fully into the Fanta area, which actually Fanta has its roots all the way back to World War II. It's a very interesting story if you read about it sometime. But Coke Minutemade Orange Soda is a thing of the past since 2005 when it was phased out, and it's actually very hard to find a lot of information about it online. Had to use the Wayback Machine to find some news articles about it to pinpoint the exact date it was canceled and find comments from Coke about it. So it was interesting to see that Coca-Cola had a whole another brand, two flavored fruit drink sodas going at the same time, Minute Maid and Fanta, and probably wisely, honestly, even though it's not the one I would have picked, went behind Fanta instead of having two competing brands. Alright, speaking of fruit flavored drinks, Sprite used to have a fruit-flavored version called Tropical Sprite Remix. It came out in a variety of different flavors and was an attempt to kind of grow the Sprite brand. Sprite's very popular, but never really grew beyond the original Sprite. We have Coke Zero, Coke Cherry, Coke Vanilla, all these different Coke brands, but Sprite never quite branched out. Tropical Sprite Remix was an attempt to do the same thing that Coke has done with Coke Vanilla and Coke Cherry, but to Sprite. It launched in 2006, it launched in 2003, it never quite caught on. And by the end of 2005, it was completely gone off of store shelves. But it did have a loyal following from some people, but many people probably don't ever remember Sprite ever did that. Alright, if you ever wish you could have Coke and coffee at the same time, Coke is actually a surprisingly popular breakfast drink in restaurants and fast food joints. A lot of people like it for the cold caffeine, especially in summer months when people may not want to drink a warm coffee or warm tea, but they still want caffeine. Coke tried to cash in on this, especially in the mid-2000s with the growth of specialty coffees by launching Coca-Cola Black. Now this was a specialty drink first launched in France, later came to the United States with a slightly sweeter taste, but never quite caught on. Now Coke is bringing this back. They announced the launch of a new Coca-Cola flavored coffee drink in 2019, but the original Coca-Cola Black, launched in 2006, was completely gone by 2008. Just never caught on, never had the following that they were expecting. And with all businesses, if you can't quite get enough money or enough sales to justify the time and effort, when you have a massively profitable, big, successful operation here, you just kind of end up moving your resources over there. So very interesting to see that. I wonder if we'll be talking in a few years about the current Coca-Cola coffee drinks once again going away, or if this time they will stick. Coffee has never been hotter. As a brand, people drink coffee more than they ever have. So it'll be interesting to see how that sticks. All right, who here remembers from the early 90s OK Soda? I actually remember these commercials because I lived not far from one of the test markets growing up. But it was launched in 2000. There's a force of habit. 1993, and was targeting Gen Xers. This was a fruity flavored soda is how they kind of advertised it. That was targeting Gen Xers with a kind of a mellow, OK Soda, bland commercial effort that they thought would attract Gen Xers and that kind of counterculture revolution that was in the early 1990s. If you remember it, it's hard to explain if you weren't there. This one never really went well, never got very far outside of its test markets, and Coca-Cola quickly shut it down just a few months after they launched it due to poor sales in the test market and never reached a full nationwide release. OK Soda was Coca-Cola's attempt to try to make a targeted brand, not necessarily based on a flavor or a drink type like coffee or something, but on a generation, on the Gen Xers at the time, which nowadays would probably say millennials, but at the time they were Gen Xers. So, be interested to see how that happens. Be interested to see if Coca-Cola makes another aggressive effort in the future to reach millennials or some other group, rather than reach a particular flavor, drink, etc. Alright, the original, number 9, Coke Zero. Now, Coke Zero is still around, though it's been completely rebranded back in 2017. The original Coke Zero flavor and formula is no more, and the branding has been kind of redone to reflect that. Now, with the new flavor, new taste, Coke Zero seems to have found an even bigger audience, so it seems to have paid off for Coke. But if you're a fan of the original flavor and the original drink, you're out of luck. Coke doesn't seem to have any plans to bring back the original drinks or the original flavors. Coke Zero, though, overall, hasn't gone away, even though the brand is slightly different. The formula is different, and it is more successful than the original Coke Zero that was released back in 2005, went into 2017, and is now probably more successful than ever. All right, and number 10, probably Coke's most famous failed drink, New Coke. In the 1980s, Coke was very concerned about Pepsi's success. They were growing their market share against Coke, and Coke was losing some areas of their market as Pepsi was expanding, launching new drinks, and moving out not just across the United States, but worldwide. To address this, Coke kind of looked at Pepsi and said, could we bring a drink similar to Pepsi out on the market, a little sweeter than Coke out there? And to answer that, in 1985, they released New Coke. And they completely got rid of old Coke. And to do that, they created a lesson that every business student who has probably been in business or in college since the 1990s has had to study. New Coke was such an epic disaster that Pepsi sales skyrocketed, and Pepsi even was so excited about what they considered their victory over Coke, they gave their employees an extra day off to celebrate their victory over Coke. Numerous calls and complaint letters went into Coke to the point where Coke hired a psychiatrist to come and listen to the calls and read the letters coming in. And the psychiatrist said these letters are very similar in these phone calls in tone and text to people who loved a very close loved one, whether it be a parent, a spouse, a child, and people were absolutely devastated to have lost Coca-Cola. Coke really quickly realized they had made a mistake, dumped a New Coke, and launched Coca-Cola Classic, and would keep the Coca-Cola Classic name on their cans for, I believe, over 20 years. That ended up being so successful that sales of Classic Coke actually were higher than Coke pre-New Coke. People who hadn't been drinking Coke that much before New Coke came out actually rushed back and bought Coca-Cola Classic when it came out, and Coke's market share skyrocketed to the point that some people accused Coke of deliberately releasing New Coke as a bad product to make people miss the original Coke to the point that they would rush back. This has been taught in business classes for years as a marketing failure, as a strategy failure, and more, and has become one of those classic business examples of what not to do and how to respond to market demand when clearly you made a bad decision and you need to switch back. So it's very interesting, but New Coke has to go down as Coke's biggest flop ever done, ever made. All right, so that's it for today. Hope you learned something new. Any of these drinks jump out to you? Anything you really remember from your childhood? The Minutemade Orange soda has to be my favorite. I miss it. If Coke would ever bring that back, I would probably buy 100 cases. Okay, maybe not that much. I maybe just do that just to make sure I have some when they cancel it again. But hopefully they bring that back someday. Hope everybody has a fantastic day. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're new here. And check back tomorrow for another video. Thanks for your support. I really appreciate it. I'll talk to you all real soon. Thanks for your support.